point where we do things because it's the right thing to do, we haven't really achieved much. If we do it because we are afraid of the law, then it then means that when the law is not looking, we will breach the law. Okay, so that's where we want to take them to. So PEWI has been involved in these programs. We work with teachers directly. We train the teachers, we provide the materials. Then the teachers go back to their schools and do the programs with the students. We pay the teachers allowances for the extra time, yes, because it's not in their work schedule. For the extra hours they spend with these children, we provide the workbooks and the textbooks. Sometimes they have to travel to a site to do something. If they don't find a local sponsor within their community, we provide that stipend for them to make that journey to get the work done. So that's the role PEWI has been playing. Then in the African continent, interestingly, we've actually done a lot. We had to go to Senegal, even though we don't speak French. They had to hire French interpreters for us. We trained the teachers in Senegal on civic education. Yeah. Then when South Africa changed from the former British model of education to what they call the outcome model, where students are learners, again, we help institute the civic education in the Republic of South Africa. And finally, we did the same thing in Madagascar. So we have helped to set up these programs in at least 3 African countries.
Okay, that's very impressive. So I see that, I think it does deserve a round of applause. And I think it's a brilliant initiative. And a lot more people should get involved with this. Now, not only, you've actually put your money where your mouth is, because not only are you impacting people with knowledge, you're using resources to ensure that the outcome that you want are achieved by taking this to schools. You have identified in answering the questions a major challenge, which is fund. I am aware that there's the Fund for the Advancement of Civic Education, acronym FACE. How does that, what is that all about, FACE?
We from experience, we now have come up with the concept of Fund for the Advancement of Civic Education in Nigeria, which we shorten to FACE Nigeria. All right, and it works out simply. We think that if each of us or a group of us take responsibility for a school in our community, our alma mater, the school attended by our children or our grandchildren, or just a school we want to help, we think we can achieve much. So what we do is we're asking you to pay the bill. We're asking parents, citizens, to pay the bill for at least 2 teachers in every school to come to training. And then we send those teachers back with materials to work with 50 students. We'll give you before this time, the bill was actually 2.5 million naira per school, but with all the inflations we witnessed recently, we're going to update it. The idea is that when these teachers come, you heard from one of the testifiers, the last time, or one of the times we trained, we actually put 2 persons in one room, okay? Just to show that we want them to be trained. We bring them out to the cities. You don't know the impact it has on a teacher who has been in a rural setting. I'm not talking of Abuja. Bring a teacher, just think of your own community, which is not a town, and you bring a teacher from that community, comes to Abuja or Lagos, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Enugu, these are places we train, and interact with other teachers, then take the training, they go back fired up. They go back fired up. And that's the same thing we did when we took altogether about 21 teachers on 3 tours of the United States. The young man who is not Dr. Yusuf came back and his teaching style changed, and a lot of them like that across the country. So what we're doing then is we are pleading for you to put your money in civic education. And we're assuring you that within the same academic year, or by the end of the academic year, we can show you the difference between the teachers that we took to train, the students that those teachers trained, and what they were before it started and what they will be after the training. There's something we call the showcase. The showcase is an assembly of students and teachers who come to show off what they have done implementing the program. The last time we had it in Abuja here was 2003, I think. we had 1,200 students. We paid their bill. We paid the law school to give us hostel accommodation. We paid the FCTA to give us the cultural center. And then these students showcase their work. And I can tell you, I can take a bet on it. And if it's not so, I will refund your money. That these children come out more knowledgeable about any issue they are dealing with and more assertive, not rude, assertive. They are humbly and civilly assertive, okay? Wow. Because they have the knowledge, and you know, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that's what FACE Nigeria is all about, funding for civic education, which brings in the citizens as the main means of funding the program. So next time you think of remembering your grandparents and your parents, even if they are alive, put something in their honor in your local school or in your alma mater or a school just next door. I'll just give you an example. Our son, Nimi the second, some years ago, actually went to the Jabi secondary school in Jabi and installed whiteboards. He was appalled that in the 21st century, teachers were still writing on blackboards with chalk and all this thing. And he and his friends, and we contributed too, bought whiteboards and installed in the schools and gave them the marker pens. So that in itself is part of civic education.
Okay. Wow. They did say the apple never falls far from the tree. Okay. Something that you said really touched me. I love my alma mater. I think that a major contributor to who I am, the level of integrity, even if I say so myself, is because of my alma mater. And I'm one of those who benefited from missionary education. So one of the things that I picked is to give back to my alma mater. I could actually pay for 2 teachers.
Thank you very much.
Fund them, and I'm making this. I will do that rather than have. I'm not 60 yet. I'm not close to it. But this is the kind of legacy that we're talking about. These are the things that can actually impact positively. So, if you are not as proud of your alma mater as I am, think of your children's school. Think of a school in the neighborhood. Think of what name you can give to a funding that. And so the purpose for this is not to come and listen to lecture, is actually to take an action and then to implement that action. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I've received my action now.
Thank you. Thanks for the support you have assured. And let me assure the rest of us, both in-house and online. You see, the tax system, if you run a business, the tax system actually allows you to support programs like this. You can either be direct educational funding, that can be written up for you, or it could be as corporate social responsibility. There's actually a limit to your profit. There's a profit level you will attain. You are working for the government. Yes, that is the truth of the matter. So rather than have that high profit and then pass the money to an anonymous, already rich system, take some part of that money, if not all of the extra profit. Your accountants will always tell you what is your optimal profit margin. Good. Take the extra money and put into education. Civic education is my passion, and that for me is priority. If you give to us, we'll take. But even if you're not giving to civic education, put in science education, put in any form of education. Do something about the soft infrastructure, not just building classrooms. Let's send the teachers to training. They will come back better. Thank you.
Motivation differs. So for some people, they're motivated by the fact that there will be some tax rebates.
Yes.
Are there any other incentives that might motivate someone out there?
We print these books like this. It gives you an advertising space free because you are a sponsor now. You are listed on materials like this. And of course, these books go far and wide. I mean, like the report shows that we've worked in 34 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. And you can imagine what it is when you pick up one of these books and they see the name and logo of your company, your advert, and that you support civic education. It pays because these young people become the professionals of tomorrow. They become the leaders in society. And when they get there, they know they owe you a favor.
Wow. Okay. Are there any other information you would like to share concerning how the fund is applied?
No, well, if you don't have all the funds to support a particular school, you can make a donation to the fund. Now, the only difference is that when you sponsor, you say you're sponsoring a school, we are tied to the school that you are sponsoring. But if you make a general donation, then you have given us the discretion to pool the resources to sponsor any other school that may have need for it.
Much. I breathe a sigh of relief. My final question is this. Where would you like, if you look 10 years ahead, and 10 years is a long time, God spare your life, sir. How would you like to see the impact that you've had as a person that Peewee also would have had on civic education in Nigeria?
The impact of civic education is something that is visible. It's not theory. And so if by the grace of God, I live to that age when people can say that, oh, Nigerians are an honest and trustworthy people, will have succeeded. And I can assure you that that is the beginning of development. No society, and I say it with, nobody can contradict that. No society has developed that the citizens we are not honest, we are not truthful, we are not patriotic. Patriotism even it ties into the bottom line is trustworthiness. The day will come when a multinational company will supply a trader with goods, as it used to be in Nigeria, and that trader will sell the goods and remit the money back to the company. Then we will say we are close by. The day will come when, like in University of Ibadan, somewhere in University of Ibadan, somebody has a farm and he has his produce. This is really in Nigeria. There's a video on it. He has his produce by the roadside and he's not there. He just put the prices of the goods on the commodities. And you are just expected to take the one you want and drop the money for the owner. The day we all do that, then we'll have arrived. And then the day that somebody found money and returned it to the owner, it's no longer news. Then we'll have arrived, because that is the common, in fact, the commonest behavior that is expected of all of us. So we will teach values, we will help ask our people to practice values, we will demonstrate it, it will be seen to everybody, and then the nation will be on the path to development. Lies will be a thing of the past. We have become, I'm sorry to say it, but that is the truth of the matter. We have become a nation of liars. We lie to our spouses. We lie to our friends. Okay? We lie about situations to ourselves. And then the worst case scenario is that we carry these lies into governance. So in certain situations, the government lies to us. But you won't blame the government. Government is not an abstract concept. It's made up of human beings. So it's these same human beings who tell lies in society that have become public servants and so have to feel that it's okay to lie to us. So civic education is not one big monster. It's just little things that when the puzzle is put together, it's a beautiful picture of society. And we just have to begin to walk towards it. Now, the issue is, everything we've said here, to see the end product clearly will take us at least 22 to 25 years. And that is why we have to start early. And our take is that as of 2003, about 2.5 million children left secondary school every year. Now, if we had started at about then, today, we may have been looking at more than 40 million Nigerians knowing the right thing to do. Okay, so you must start. You cannot. You can get angry. It doesn't matter. You can build prisons. Prisons will be filled. You build more prisons. Okay, but the point is for you to get a society right, you have to work at it. That is the only thing that has worked. I'll give you 3 examples. South Korea, at the time the division with North Korea, was a corrupt society. In fact, they looked up to Ghana. South Korea was copying Ghana. They had a society, a center for the study of the Ghanaian society. They were looking up to Ghana because Ghana had higher values than South Korea. Corruption ran at 20%. But the American Secretary of State said, well, as long as they're building the infrastructure, the educational system is functioning, let's tolerate them. We'll get to the point they will change. And really they did. You see, the corrupt teachers, the corrupt system were teaching the right things in the textbooks. So the children grew up knowing the right thing to do. And that generation became voters and held their leaders to account. Some of the leaders committed suicide. Some were sent to prison. Today have a cleaner society. In Mexico, with drug trafficking money, a ruling party said it has 75 years it had ruled and it will rule forever. Check the history of Mexico. Yeah. It took the electoral commission, not even the Ministry of Education. It was the electoral commission that was doing civic and voter education in Mexico. And after a while, by the 75th year election, the people overthrew the ruling party. Finally, you watch mafia movies. The mafia originated from Sicily. That's why they call them the Italian mafia. When the Sicilians saw that this thing wasn't helping them economically and otherwise, the Sicilians started the move to dismiss the mafia, and they went to the educational system. So they groomed lawyers who hated the mafia. They grew children who hated the mafia. The culture of kissing the hand is a Sicilian culture. It's not a Mafian culture. But because the Mafians had adopted this, the Sicilians ruled it out of their textbooks and culture, never practiced it anymore. It took them 22 years. I was at the ceremony in Palermo where we celebrated the triumph of civic education over the mafia. And Jack Sim told us that in Singapore, they had gangs. Again, it was civic education that helped them wipe out the gangs in Singapore. And he's right. In Singapore, you can stay out all day, all night. Nothing will be stolen. If you forget your property somewhere, somebody will return it to you. It's a clean, as he said, it's a clean society. And if you commit crime, in fact, within minutes, you'll be caught. Okay? So that's the type of society we are looking forward to. By the grace of God, with our hard work, with your support, we think we can make it before the Lord calls us home.
Honorable Nimi Walson-Jack, I look forward to living in that society. I think that it deserves a bigger round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for blessing our time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much for that very exciting and in-depth interview. Ms. Modupe Bankole, thank you. You were able to pull out from the celebrant so much that is in his heart. And one thing he did say is that civic education is everybody's business. Family, religious institutions, media, and the educational system. And one other thing we learned from this interview is that the impact of civic education is visible. It is not theory. And it would take a country at least 22 to 25 years to feel the impact of civic education. I want to recall at this time that in 2008, as a participant of the senior executive course in the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, I had the privilege to write a thesis on values reorientation, a vehicle for national development. And most of what we have heard today reminds me of one of the research questions that I asked in my research, which I conducted in 3 states in the South-South geopolitical region. And it was that I asked those who were being questioned as to what they would do as regards values, for instance, queuing up, throwing things out of your car window. If they do that in Nigeria, would they still be willing, or would they still do that in one of the advanced countries, say the UK? And they said no. They can do it in Nigeria, but they definitely would not do it in the UK. And the next question was, why? And they said, because in Nigeria, if you do it, you go scot-free. And if you do it in the UK, sanctions will be waiting for you. And so today, I would like to not close the session. Yes, we're going to take questions. But I also want us to remember one thing the celebrant said in his interview. He said, no society has developed whose citizens were not honest, trustworthy, or patriotic. I see in the studio. Okay, is Bolaji Adebi online now? No, he's not.
Yeah, I am.
So I see in the studio that most of us are wearing green, including the celebrant. I don't know if it's a coincidence, but I think it speaks to patriotism and it speaks to the Nigeria that we all pray to see. And so on that note, I'd like to take questions. Questions to the celebrant. Yes, I see that Mrs. Nimi Jack's hand went right up. And so I'd like to invite her to speak. Question.
I was listening to you talking about the Fund for the Advancement of Scientific Education in Nigeria, and you talked about 2.5 million or even a bit more. Right, I'm thinking about what do you think about stepping it down? Because some of us are doing things in our primary schools who may not have 2.5 million. Like, I want to proudly say that I just set up a football club in my primary school made of primary 5 and 6 children. And I've been able to convince other people to set up in about 5 other primary schools within my LGA. And by January, we'll take off. Now, if I wanted, because part of why I'm doing that is also the civic education that they will get. Because one, you have to learn to come to practice on time, keep your uniform clean. And you're also told that if we hear that you are fighting at home or in class, we'll take you off the team. So that those are the kind of little things, but we will appreciate your organization coming to assist us on the ground there, not necessarily being able to afford 2.5 million or more to take the teachers out, work with what we have, and then that I'm sure can be replicated in some other corners like that without so much cost. That's my desire. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, like I said, the fee, Now the fee itself, of course, is subject to variations. But the most important thing to note is that it's actually cheaper. It's actually cheaper to train teachers centrally than to go to their locations. It's cheaper to bring them out and train them centrally than to go to their actual locations, because that way you pay more money for the trainers to go there. And then we don't even have the capacity to cover the country alone. That's why the teachers are our best partners, because for every 2 teachers you train in a school, you are going to reach 50 students. In fact, one particular school in Ondo State, we trained 2 teachers, and the principal insisted that the 2 teachers had to deal with all the 2,000 students in the school, and that's what they did. So we didn't have 2,000 books for them. We had to photocopy the books, allow them photocopy the books to use. So yes, we'll work with whatever you have. Like that's what I said. Some other person, for example, will bring in a little funding, but the funds have to be accumulated so that we can impact a particular school. We'll prefer to do one school at a time rather than just train teachers, for example, and they have no books to work with students. So whatever you have is welcomed in the fund. And of course, let me also add that you will get accounts of how the money is being used. I can assure you of that. Because of course, we also, if you go online and check, you'll see that we're active on the corporate affairs, corporate companies, and what do they call them? CAC. Yes, CAC Online. We are very active because our accounts are always audited and we file regular returns. And so we can assure you that you will get accounts for your money.
Thank you very much. Yes, one more. We have Joker all the way from the UK. You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay.
First of all, I'll say happy birthday, Honorable Nimi, and congratulations. This is a laudable project that you have been involved in. I think we can simply call it your purpose. You know what God has created you to do, and by dint of chance, you got into it quite early on in life. Unfortunately, like the speaker online who says in Nigeria, people are underutilized, that people who should be in positions of authority are not there just because of the way our country works. So fine, we are no longer in military rule or under military rule. Now it's a democracy. In the UK, you have children who grow up right from primary school, secondary school, and higher education, knowing their rights. From how you defined civic education is an all-encompassing thing. Your rights, your responsibilities, what you have to give to the society, emotional intelligence, social interaction, which according to you can be taught in schools, in churches, by training teachers, and just bringing up children to do the right thing. We live in the UK and we say that they don't go to church a lot because already truth is entrenched in the system. So people don't tell lies. When something happens on the streets, the police will just put a sign, maybe after 2 weeks, and said, something happened on such and such a date. Can you tell us if you've seen anything? And a lot of calls will come that I saw this, and people don't tell lies. And there's no way we can teach civic education in this country, because I think one of the things that has really gotten Nigeria into the state is the fact that a lot of people are poor. You know, poverty is a real thing in this society, that the wealth that is in some areas, like Abuja, you don't know poverty in Abuja. If you go downtown, up north, down south, and west and the east, you'll see that there's a lot of poverty. So some of these children are growing up, to the life of hustle. It's just hustle. Hustle means steal if you can, cut them down and take their stuff. So how can we cannot take civic education, as much as one doesn't want to politicize it or make it seem as if, but politics has to be entrenched in it for people to know their rights from youth, know what to give, know what to expect, so that it's not a question of when you are voting, because the major way to change the system as well is by voting. You understand? So I'm sure that is part of it. Now, going to my question. The first question that came from Mrs. Jacks, saying that it may not be easy to get maybe 2.5, which has not even been updated. By the time it's updated, it's going to be more than that. Is there no way that you can have maybe books that you can actually intensely, even maybe approved by the Ministry of Education, sold to all of the schools that may not be able to afford, so that it becomes part of the curriculum? You call it civic education. Some people call it government in Nigeria, or social studies. In England, we have PSHE, physical and social education, that people are learning. In England, they also include sex education, which I think they have pronounced a bit, and I've pissed people off by that. But it's an all-encompassing thing. Can we not have books, puzzles for children from youth, to teach truth, to teach discipline, to teach patriotism? You understand? All this Japa syndrome, you understand, is because people are hopeless. They have they don't think there's any good thing that can come for them. So I believe we still have a lot of work to do, and we can put them in books that we can actually lobby to have them included in our curriculum, to teach our children from birth, how they should live and how our society can compare with better societies. Congratulations, Honorable Nimi.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we are dealing with two different societies now. In the case of, for example, the UK and the rest of the developed world, they've actually done this job that we're trying to do now, they have done it. So they can afford to do some of the things that we should be doing, but it's too early for us to do. So first, we have to even build this issue of, for example, poverty and values. To even teach that poverty is not an excuse for crime. To teach it, it's not going to be an easy thing, but you still have to teach it. Somebody will agree, some will not agree. Those who agree will see the benefit. Those who don't agree will end up in prison, and then others will learn a lesson. So it has the time period we are talking about. So it has steps and models. It's not just one size fits all. So we must teach the people. Then they must go and practice it, implement it, see how it works. We'll give you a scenario. Ethics, the issue of ethics in office starts from the primary school children. Will you report, you go out with your friend to a shop and your friend steals a bar of chocolate? Will you report your friend, your best friend, to the shop owner? That's a major ethical issue. But the children have to learn at that age that, yes, I will report, and they will actually report. It doesn't matter what it will cost the friendship. Then they now know that when they get to the top, if I could report my best friend at primary school level, then reporting my boss when we get to the top is an Akamu case, as we say on the street. Okay, so we'll do it as time goes on. We'll see who fits for what education. And then the issue of just printing books, no. Each material, each civic education program has, as I said, an interactive teaching methodology. So first, the teachers must be trained in that method of teaching. It is the teachers who will go and train the children in that method of learning. It is when they have made progress, then you can afford to send them certain type of materials because they already have the basic knowledge to do the work without you. But as you introduce new programs, and the programs are dynamic, it's not just the programs we have, programs all over the world. Civic educators are working around the clock, trying to make old programs better and the rest of it, scientific testing, what works, what doesn't work. So as these programs are changed, you go for professional development to ensure that it works. All it really takes is a renewal of minds, of Nigerians. In the developed world where they have lots of philanthropy and charities and so on, they are not created specially. It's just that they have already reached that mentality that there is a minimum amount of food, a maximum amount of food you can eat. There is a maximum amount of money you can have in your bank account. The children for whom you are stockpiling the money are not so good that they will make more money than you. So just agree that rather than leave this money to rot in the banks or in the sockaway pits, put some of the money into education. That's all. Once you have that mindset, I'm telling you, it's going to be easy. I went to, when we were doing this program in 2002 or thereabout, we went to Kaduna, one of the schools in Kaduna. And this lady from the US, Pet Farmbach, saw the school in Kaduna. And we gave them only 50 students. But the number of students who turned up and were interested in the program were more than 50. She went home and sent us $5,000 to print more books to cover that particular school. So we just plead with Nigerians. Let's just have a new mindset about philanthropy, about public service, help for others. The support the poor need is not really bread every morning. We need just to give them education and they will take care of themselves. And I'm happy the story in Singapore. Read the Singaporean story. For those of you in the audience, you can see the two books I have here. We have bought up all the books by Lee Kuan Yew on Singapore. People were very poor. In fact, one of the reasons why Malaysia kicked them out was that they were very poor. They were contributing nothing to the Malay Republic. So they sent all the poor people back to what is Singapore. No minerals, no natural resources, but just using education. See what they have made of their country. And we are saying that if we can just do a bit of it, our own will be faster because the resilient spirit of the Nigerian will even make us arrive faster than the traditional time frame that has been set. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nimi Walson-Jack. And right there, he made a plea to all Nigerians. Please have a new mindset. And on that note, I'm told that Bolaji Adebi is now online, and so we'll give him a little while to make some comments. Bolaji Adebi, please. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I joined the program late. I've been in transit. Yeah. Well, I listened to a bit of what Honorable Nimi Walson-Jack has said. First of all, let me congratulate him on his birthday. I wish you many happy returns. And also congratulate you on becoming our president. You know, we went to the same school, Federal Government College.
Thank you.
Now our president, and I believe that we are going to reap some benefits, you know, of your presidency. Now I listen to you, and one thing that is agitating my mind is one. You know, when we were in school, we studied what they call civics. I want to just know in what way is what you are doing, you know, different from the civics curriculum. And then secondly, beyond the challenge of funding, are there other challenges that you want to share with us so that we can also try to, you know, find a way to resolve those challenges? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, the civics of old is the same name or the same content, basic content. The name has changed, but the civic education is a much improved version than the civic that we study. You know, society has changed. This is the 21st century. So even civics today, if it will be taught as civics, will include technology. So civic education today includes technology. But the whole idea is, but they all have the same result. They all have the same result, which is to have better citizens for society. So we agreed on that. So it doesn't matter, as I said in the beginning, whether you call it civics, whether you call it citizenship education, whether you call it civic education, we're in the same boat and we want to deliver the same product. Well, in terms of other programs, I mean, in terms of other challenges, oh, definitely, money alone will not deliver. If we have the money and we don't have willing teachers, we are going to have a problem. So part of the work we do is to convince teachers that this program helps both them and their students. And the last time we did it in conjunction with the State Department of the United States government. And what we did was we promised the teachers, if your students do well, you qualify for the exchange program. And that was the only criteria. So there was no man, no man in it. So when the judges who judge the students in Abuja are non-partisan. So whatever result they gave to us, we hand out the exchange program form. So that incentive motivated a lot of teachers to participate. And in fact, even merely coming to Abuja, we went to Senegal, we took teachers and students. So the news goes around that there's this program that if you do and you do well, you can travel the world. So we want to believe that we can still do that, even if we have to travel Nigeria, which is also part of civic education. That will help. So we'll work on the psyche of teachers, work on the psyche of teachers to participate in the program, to agree to be trained. Part of the problem we had the last time too was, yes, a school has qualified to come to Abuja for a showcase, and the parents say, no, my child is going nowhere. And once that child is pulled out of that team, there is a gap. So we have to guarantee parents, even the ones that were above us, to say, we will return your child safe and sound. So those are some of the issues we had the last time, which we think we can overcome. We also have problems. We used to have problems with ministries of education. In fact, the funniest one was we went to a particular ministry. PAMTEC is actually a federal institution. You were not there then. Yes. Ambassador Perewari was permanent secretary. He approved the program that we should train teachers in federal government colleges on civic education. Incidentally, the director who was in charge of that section was not in the office when the approval was given. So another director who stood in his place coordinated the program. When the Americans came with their team, materials and everything, we were not ready. Why?